Good morning, Brownsville. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're watching this feed. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Frankie Olivo. Our program focuses on the very important issues that are affecting your local community. We have shed light on injustices, and we've allowed for our platform, this mic, to be that of the voice of the people. Now, if this is something that you can see yourself supporting, we ask that you like, comment, and share this live feed. Now, as of late, our Facebook page is at risk of being taken down. The powers that be do not want you, the voter, to know the truth. But remember, we will not be silenced. Now, if you're really about the cause and you want to stand up to corruption and you want to hold our elected leaders and those in leadership positions accountable, well, we ask that you be part of the cause. Currently, right now, this live program is being streamed across our social media platforms, and we ask that you follow and subscribe to them. We could be found under X, formerly known as Twitter, and Facebook under Frankie Olivo. Make sure you follow our personal page on Facebook. We could be found under Olivo Frankie. But more importantly, if you haven't already, create a Gmail email, go to YouTube, like, follow, and subscribe to our channel titled Frankie Olivo TV. It's free. Our goal by the end of this year is to reach the 1,000 subscriber mark. Since mid-March, when we started this program coming on at 9 a.m., we were at 230 some subscribers. We have eclipsed the 900 mark. I think we're at 917 as of this morning. I promise my community, if you give me an opportunity, if you help me in this, if you help me reach 1,000 subscribers, I have 3 banger stories that I'm just about done with. There's a grading scandal happening at the local high school where counselors manipulated grades to benefit the child of a counselor. And again, when we talk about valedictorian rankings, that's a lot of money, thousands of dollars. We will tell you who, we will tell you what, and we will tell you exactly what happened. That's one. Another juicy story is our BISD board member, Frank Ortiz. We all think of him as being, goody two-shoes. Well, do we have a story on him? You want to know what is being alleged? You want to know what is happening behind closed doors? Help me reach 1,000 subscribers to my community, and I'll give you the juicy details. But the most, I guess, whenever, it is true, sex does sell, right? Whenever there's scandal, whenever it's something scandalous, whenever it involves sex, everybody wants to know. Everybody's eager to listen in, to eavesdrop. We have a story that administrators had or performed a hokey pokey on school grounds, on school time. You want to know who? You want to know what exactly happened to them? You want to know where it happened? Help me get to 1,000 subscribers to my community, and I promise you, I will give you the whole enchilada. Remember, Good Morning Brownsville will come on Monday through Friday, 9 a.m., sometimes a little bit after, religiously. So make sure that you subscribe to our channel titled Frankie Olivo TV. We will not be silenced. And always remember, Brownsville, I don't ask for much. Many people were shocked whenever we were reporting live on the hostage situation at South Padre. We get a kick out of being part of the news and providing you the news. Our program was there inside the hotel. Where was Channel 5? Where were all these major news agencies? So again, you want me to provide you with the latest updates on what is happening in Brownsville, Cameron County, and South Texas? I don't ask for much. I will never, ever ask you for money. I will never, ever ask you for food. All I ask of my community is something very simple. You see this thing that's going around across the screen? Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel titled Frankie Olivo TV. And always remember, Bronzo, we are forever grateful to each and every one of you for the time and attention that you provide us. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. How we doing, chat? How we doing? Happy Tuesday. Man, it's been a busy start of the week for your humble servant. Yesterday, I was literally from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. I was hustling and bustling. We're always grateful to have the opportunity to work in our line of profession. We got to take advantage of seasonal work. That is the time where we get the opportunity to educate, to serve the community here in the Rio Grande Valley. I'm fortunate enough to have clients throughout the state of Texas and even in California, where I am. I hold a license there as well. As much as I complain of being up and down and not having time, I'm very thankful and grateful for the opportunity to lend a helping hand and provide information to those individuals that greatly need it. I'm in a profession that deals with health insurance that is always evolving, is always changing, and what we've seen has been that we've gotten to a point in our lives where everything's expensive. That is our new reality. Yesterday, I was talking with a client, and she said, "You know what? My family couldn't travel. I had to give money. We as parents didn't go out, and I had to help my son out with a few bucks for gas so he could take his babies out for summer vacation." You and I can agree that we've all felt it, right? Most recently, we just received our tax bill. And many people are struggling. Food is more expensive. Gas is somewhat fluctuating. I think now it is coming down. That's something that President Trump has been talking about as of late. The housing market. The housing market is expensive. We'll talk about what certain candidates talked about the housing market later in today's show. But you and I can agree, life is just expensive. Why is that? I deal with insurance. People's premiums have been slowly rising throughout the years, and there's many factors that we could talk about, and we could possibly go into detail in regards to that. But you and I can agree, life isn't what it once was. I remember traveling every summer with my family. We would go to Las Cruces, New Mexico. We would go to Disneyland. We would go to SeaWorld here in San Antonio. Back then, we didn't realize how good life was. Now it seems that all those things are a luxury. But nonetheless, we hope to be able to live in a world where first we're able to obtain the necessities. Now it seems that's the only thing we could afford. Well, I'll speak for myself. Many people live paycheck to paycheck. Now we're thinking, should I go out to eat or should I eat this sopa of marucha? The realities of life are real. And what's important for today's program is that those individuals that we elect into office will ultimately have a role in each of our lives. I love being part of politics, of following policy, of following campaigns, of following candidates, because they are making the pitch. They are selling themselves. They are promising us the world and saying, I am the best candidate that you need in office, and I will deliver on XYZ platform. Why do people run? People run because, one, they see that there's a problem. Obviously, people wouldn't jump into a race if there is no problem, right? We would think that if everything's A-okay, if everything's running smooth, if people have jobs, if they have money, if they're able to afford their homes, if they're able to live that, is it even fair to say that picture perfect life, the American dream, maybe they wouldn't run. What have we seen? Where have we seen from our politicians as of late? For today's program, we will talk about the Texas District 34 GOP congressional candidates. Yesterday, they presented their platforms, their ideas, their goals for our area, and they asked the community to consider them to be their candidate. Well, in this particular race, to come out of the primaries in March to challenge either Vicente or the Democratic nominee in November of 2026. I wanted to focus on yesterday's events because it is very important moving forward who is elected. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are satisfied with the current state of affairs that our economy is in, that our borders, our open border policy that the previous administration and all the problems that it has created, if you're okay with that, you must either be very successful or you may not have a heart. In my profession, I serve individuals who are elderly. I have clients that are disabled. Many people live off of Medicare and Medicaid assistance. There is a lot of needs here in our area. One thing that always bothers me is that whenever we look around, do we see progress? Do we see a promising future for the Rio Grande Valley? Here in our area in particular, do we see a promising future for Brownsville? Now, I don't want you to misconstrue and say, oh, here you go, you're going to bash the Democrats. That's all you do. Why don't you ever talk about bad things that this current administration is doing? You just like to be negative. Why don't you uplift people? Well, when we really get down to the nitty-gritty, what can we say that our politicians have done for us in the previous 20 years? What has someone such as Salomon Ortiz, who served District 34 for 25, 26, 27 years? What have the Lucios done in our area? And why do you say that, Frankie? Why are you targeting people that are no longer in office? Salomon Ortiz, God rest his soul, had not served the area for a decade now going. Senator Lucio is 4 years out, 5 years out. But what I want for you to realize is that things that happened 20 years ago, we are starting to see the effects today. That is the way administrations, politicians have lasting effects on their constituents. Whenever we think of tariffs, that has been a hot topic. Many people give me pushback and say, oh, do you understand how tariffs works? We are paying for tariffs. The reason why I'm such a big believer of tariffs is because we are getting out of a cycle that has only led for our national debt to increase dramatically. The goal of this administration, from my understanding, is for other countries to pay tariffs that we can use to lower down our national debt. What does that give us as a country? It makes us more powerful, because the less debt we owe, the less responsibilities, the less favors we have to give to the outside world. Now, I'm a historian. Woodrow Wilson got away from tariffs. At one time, other countries were paying for pretty much everything that we needed. And that is the same concept that President Trump, to my understanding, is having on tariffs. Now, I have people that are saying, "Oh, Frankie, you're so dumb. We are paying for the Colombian coffee. We are paying for that imported aguacate, all those products that we're so, used to in our daily lives and our diets." We have to understand that the goal of tariffs right now is America first, to create American jobs, to encourage people not to buy foreign goods, but to buy American made. Let's invest in us. Let's stop spending money outside. Why are you bringing this up? Well, because everything that happens today is ultimately going to have a lasting effect 20 years down the road. Whenever these presidents, Bush, Obama, Trump, whenever they implement plans and goals for the future of the United States, they always lay out a 10, 20-year mark, objectives, because they realize that if their policies last multiple administrations, ultimately they will be able to accomplish their goals that they set out. So when we look at Cameron County, when I look at South Texas, do we have anything to hang our hats on? Can we say that the Rio Grande Valley is booming, that businesses, corporations are flocking to our area, that we have so much investments coming in? I know what you're thinking, Frankie. We have SpaceX, we have LNG. That was because of geographical purposes. It wasn't because our politicians were great and good at what they do. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, it pains me to remind you that here in our area, we are one of the poorest in the nation, one of the least educated. Why? Now, many people say, "Oh, it's because whenever you go to Congress, they don't care about the Mexican." We had a candidate yesterday that said that Brownsville, not now, but I think when they grew up, they thought of Brownsville as being northern Mexico, that the border went up until Harlingen. Bien foofy, though. We're American. That is a belief that many possibly have. Corruption, the way we operate, the way we think, people on welfare. So everything that is done today will ultimately have a lasting mark 10, 20 years down the road. I wanted to talk about these candidates because it's important for us to learn about who they are, what their platform is, and ultimately, what is it they have to offer. I've always told people, I want you to treat your vote as if you were running a business. What have you done for me lately? And I know that sounds selfish, but at the end of the day, that's the attitude that we all should have in our relationships. It might be selfish, but that's the way we should operate. Should we continue to elect individuals that just aren't cutting it? Have we seen a change from our current representatives, either in Washington, at the county, at the school district, at the city, at every government entity? Has our lives improved? You, the viewer, you, the parent, has your child's lives improved? Whenever they grow up and ready to fight the world head on, Is Bronzeville a promising area to where they go study and with no doubt that they're going to come back and work and be prosperous and live the American dream? No. Unfortunately, we don't have the jobs. I have brothers that are currently working in North Carolina. They're making six figures. They're doing very well for themselves. I would hope that they would find jobs here locally. And my brothers were raised in Los Fresnos and in Edinburgh, Hidalgo County. I wish they had something here locally that maybe not matched that six figures, but was competitive to the point to where they said, you know what, I'm going to stay here locally. I want to be with my mom. I want to be with my dad. I want to be close to my family. And I know you could possibly relate. Maybe you have a loved one, maybe a spouse, a child, someone in your family, a friend that just doesn't have the opportunities here. So what do? They have to leave. And there's nothing wrong with that. But we want our area to be thriving. We want our area to be booming. At least that's what I expect. So whenever people are saying, oh, tariffs, 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 America first. Gamboa, do you find it weird that welfare assistance rose from 17 billion to 40 billion? Is there a need for individuals to receive assistance? Yes. I'm all in favor of that. But have we made it to a point to where these people are able to work and don't do so because of the assistance that they have? And as the saying goes, a few rotten apples ruin it for everyone. Now, when you talk about healthcare, who can we blame? Obamacare for the past 15 years. It is titled the Affordable Care Act. I deal with this on a day-to-day basis. I have seen these past 2, 3, 4, 5 years how premiums have been skyrocketing. And again, this is a legislation passed by the Democrats. This is something that they said healthcare for everyone is going to be affordable. What have we seen from this? We have seen that the ones that have benefited handsomely have been the insurance companies, the doctors, the hospitals. And who is stuck footing the bill? The consumer. What I find fascinating is people say, oh, well, extend the subsidies, extend the subsidies. Why are we going to keep on pouring money into something that has shown that is not effective? It's like your house. It's like your car. You know, you have a car in the garage and you fix it up and you spend money in it and you drive it around and then it dies on you. Okay. You invest more money into it. You fix things up. You hope and pray that I don't have to buy a new one. We don't have to start from scratch. What happens? It dies on you. Okay, this is my second time. Third time's a charm. After a while, we start learning that things become money pits. And maybe, I don't know, maybe it's me. The best thing to do is not invest in that vehicle. Why are we throwing money down when we're not getting the results we need? When we talk about school closures, why do we always blame President Trump? Why do we always blame Governor Abbott? That bothers me because, again, we are fortunate to have the eyes and ears of the community. Thousands of people watch our program. We are very thankful for that. And we have the benefit of having our local elected officials tune in. This same energy that you have, Gamboa, why don't you pass it on to the local representation that you have, either here at Brownsville, in Harlingen, in San Benito, any school district that we have here locally? Why do we always blame President Trump and the administration? Oh, they got rid of the Department of Education. When we look at it from a global standpoint, how did we rank in the world compared to, I don't know, Asian countries? With the billions of dollars that we spend, you would think that we would be top 3, top 5, top 10. We're not even in the top 15, from my understanding. And as the saying goes, if something isn't broke, don't fix it, right? That's the way I see it. But if we're having problems over and over and over and over and over again, what's that saying? If you keep on doing the same thing and expecting a different result, that's the definition of insanity. Same thing. Why are we blaming Trump for the mismanagement that we have seen here personally at Brownsville ISD? Why do we blame Trump? Again, we have a board that manages $600 million. And you mean to tell me that there's not enough pie on the plate to feed everybody, to pay everyone, to make sure that our facilities are up to date? It seems like crazy to me that we don't. Why? Because there's mismanagement. And I wish that people would get away from that. Let's stop focusing on over there. Let's start focusing on right here, on the task at hand. Yeah, we're real cool to call out people. Hey, Trump, yeah, Abbott. They will never listen to us. But you know who will listen to us? The Brownsville ISD board, the local government entities. They do tune in. They do listen. And I wish you would join me in this. But to me, the easy way, the cop-out is, oh, Trump, oh, Abbott, oh, this, oh, that. We need to hold our elected leaders accountable. Actually, Gamboa, the vouchers, from my understanding, is on an income base. It's not going to, you're going to have to apply. It's not going to be for everyone. It's going to focus on children who are disabled primarily and low income, because again, there is this notion that students do not have a fair shot. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Unfortunately, we are in a time of our lives where public education has gone down. I blame that on our leaders here locally. What have they done? Spend. Vendors, contracts. And then when the house is falling, oh my God, we need to do something. Oh my God. That's what bothers me. So again, whatever people do in office ultimately has lasting effects in people's lives. And that is why I wanted to cover today's program, because we had, I genuinely enjoyed last night's event. This is my first time attending the Northern Cameron County Republican Club. It was packed to the house. It was a packed house. They meet at the Harlingen Public Library for 2 hours. And I was impressed with the candidates. I really was. I want to break down a little bit of what they each had to say about the current state of events, current state of affairs of District 34 that encompasses Cameron County and Nueces County, what they had to offer. Many people are starting to realize that the Republican Party is making ground here locally. President Trump won Cameron County. That has not been by coincidence. People just didn't wake up and say, you know what, I'm going to vote for Trump. I'm going to vote Republican. I don't blame them. Look what happened these past 4 years with President Biden and his administration. The reason why everything is so expensive right now, we could make arguments and say it was because of the previous administration. Now, moving forward, these individuals, they did a great job of telling their constituents here in Cameron County of why they felt they were the best option. They were the person to lead us in Congress or to challenge the Democratic nominee in November 26th. And as congressmen, as congresswomen, they have a number of important functions and responsibilities. The key functions are legislation. They propose, draft, sponsor bills and resolutions. They're able to debate and amend proposed legislation in committees and on the House floor. Ultimately, they vote on laws that affect the country. Look at the government shutdown of 40 plus days. Who voted on keeping the government closed? Our local congressman, Vicente Gonzalez. Why? Because they were asking for health care for all. They were not going to budge unless Obamacare, the subsidies, was extended. Again, why do we keep on feeding something that's not working? And you know who suffered because of the government shutdown? Federal employees. Our military. Well, I can't say that because I think they were paid during the shutdown, if I'm not mistaken. But ultimately, they were susceptible to this. Did you travel during the shutdown? How chaotic it was? The TSA members, we saw and heard of things out of Houston, out of Bush Airport, that they were canceling flights left and right, that millions of Americans in the whole United States were having delays, not being able to travel as they once did. Gamboa wants to talk about WIC and SNAP. Gamboa, who was it that closed the government? It was the Democrats. They were able, the Republicans met them in the middle and said, look, reopen the government and we'll negotiate. We have time. But 40 million Americans did not receive their SNAP or WIC, their assistance for 40 days. Who do I blame that? On the Democrats. Because the number is 60 in order to reopen the government. I think the Republicans were at 55. They needed 5. 53, 55. They needed 5 Democrats to jump that hurdle, which they ultimately did because the Democrats themselves said, you know what? This needs to end. Fetterman out of Pennsylvania. He said the shutdown shouldn't have happened. Chuck Schumer. There's talks of him being primaried by the famous AOC. He's scared. He's calling people in Washington and saying, hey, back me up, back me up. They're not answering his calls. He led the government shutdown. He, in large part, because of him, and I will blame Vicente Gonzalez, in large part for millions of Americans not receiving the assistance that they need. Again, Gamboa wants to talk about the cuts, the costs. That was on the Democrats. I know it's easy for us to, it's the Republicans. Oh, Trump. We have Trump syndrome. Oh, Trump. Oh, my goodness. No! The Democrats that ultimately caved in. They said Americans are suffering. Let's move towards progress. Let's get them the assistance. We are having this dilemma because of party affiliation, that it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't. It shouldn't be that way. So congressmen, they represent the interests, views, and needs of the people in District 34. And they serve as our voice for us, the constituents, at the national level with the big leagues. They have to balance local concerns with national issues. They help constituents, us, navigate federal agencies, federal programs, if ever we need anything, assisting with Social Security, veteran benefits, or even immigration-related issues. Those in Congress respond to constituents' concerns, questions, and requests. They provide us with information. They could possibly give interns or teenagers or future generations letters of recommendations so they can start their careers and possibly get into these academic institutions all over the U.S. They provide oversight and they monitor the executive branch agencies to make sure that laws are properly implemented. They hold hearings, they call witnesses, they conduct investigations into government operations or national issues. Whenever they run for congressional office, well, they have to manage their staff, materials, communications. They organize and lead staff in research and policy development and constituent outreach. That is something that I wanted to focus on, and I hope you remind me about the outreach. Jose Mario, right now, who can we blame for the high cost of housing? Who can we blame for Obamacare, Affordable Care Act, for the premiums skyrocketing? I had a client that I quoted last year at 160, let's say. The client was making the exact amount of money. From 160, she went up to 340, 335, 340 rounded up. Same dependents, same household, same job, same income. Right. Large corporations, insurance companies. But who set the parameters for that? Democrats. The Democrats have laid the parameters for Obamacare to strengthen large corporations, insurance companies. And who are the ones that are being affected? The consumer. So again, do you blame President Trump for this? Do you blame President Trump for the illegals in our country that have taken over our Section 8, that are taking over our jobs, that are taking over? So again, it's easy for people to say, oh, Trump, 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 Trump. But in reality, the policies implemented by President Biden will ultimately have lasting effects for years to come. That's the way things work. It's not like if, President Trump comes into office January 20th and by February 1st, everything's done, everything's changed, everything's done, everything's back to normal, guys. It doesn't work that way. It's not as if they can turn the page and say, who is that? Tim Walz's wife. We're turning the page, Donald Trump. We're turning the page. It's not like that. In a perfect world, right? We could just snap our fingers and say, voila. In a perfect world. But that is why I talked about, and I started today's program with talking about individuals such as Salomón Ortiz, who spent almost 3 decades in Washington. Senator Lucio, who spent years, decades And what do we have to show for it? So electing the right individual is very, very important. Moving forward, congressional candidates, they did hit up the campaign trail yesterday, and they made their pitch to voters about why we as constituents should consider them to be the District 34's next representative. Each person that I will be talking about, they highlighted their priorities, whether it's strengthening the local economy, improving public service, or possibly bringing in a fresh leadership to Washington. And it's through these town halls and community events and debates and forums that they're working to show their value and plans that ultimately are aligned with our values that they hope to serve us. What happened yesterday was an important day because ultimately they're asking the voters to trust them to be their strong voice or to be their voice in DC. If you want to nitpick, we can nitpick. Why did the U.S. get into war with Ukraine? There's so many things. And look, I understand maybe you're a Democrat, maybe you're a liberal, and maybe you think that universal health care is what's needed. Maybe you should move to New York. Thank you for tuning in, Jose Mario. I really appreciate your participation. Thank you so much for that. What I learned from yesterday's events was that people are vying for our vote. One of the candidates, and I'm going in order of how they were called to present. I believe it was through their last name. Keith Allen is an evangelical, and he is running on the platform to be a representative that has conviction, him being a preacher. He called himself a winner who will not compromise his integrity when the swamp comes calling. Now, currently right now in this GOP congressional race for District 34, there are 9 candidates. It's a very packed race. It's important to recognize that 4 years ago, 8 years ago, 20 years ago, it was unheard of to have these many Republicans in a congressional race. Does Keith Allen have what it takes to be in a runoff? To come out of this primary without a runoff? Does he have name recognition? He stated that yesterday that he is the only candidate that can argue that can prove that he has voted Republican for the past 40 years. Then move to Canada, bro. Move to Canada. Move to New York. That's what I want us to get away from. Free. No, hombre, macheteale, frégate. Nothing in life is free. That is why South Texas is the way we are. Because we want welfare. Look, I don't want to sound cold-hearted. There are people that genuinely need it. I deal with them on a day-to-day basis. But I can tell you, there are people that are abusing the system. And again, what are people going to take? Work 8 to 5 and receive 100% of your paycheck, or work and get not work and get 85% on welfare? It's not. But here we have a system, a culture that we want things for free. My understanding, and again, the Affordable Care Act was presented back in 2010 and passed legislation by being an insurance that ultimately was going to be healthcare for all. So, how different is what the Democrats had to what you're saying, universal health care? It's not a formula that works. It's not a formula that has proven to function. What we need to do is take money away from the insurance companies, give a health savings account to the people, have them decide. That will create competition, that will open up the markets, that will cause these premiums to be competitive. Right now, Obamacare and your version of universal health care, it's pretty much the same thing. Because people that make 40, 50, 60, 70, 80,000, I think the cap is like 50 grand, or you have to like pay something. You have to pay a premium. And everybody under 40,000, it's a $0 premium. So what formula are you talking about? Are you one of these that are saying, oh, let's extend the subsidies? It's a topic for another day. But if you cannot agree with me that the current system is flawed, is not affordable, that all the money goes to the insurance companies and the hospitals, I don't know what to tell you. Anyways, that's a topic for another day. So Keith Allen, what I've heard about Keith Allen is that him being Anglo could help him. When we think of District 34, Nueces County is going to be the deciding factor in who is the next representative. Hidalgo County, Nueces County has more registered voters than Cameron County. That is a given. So essentially, whoever is able to compete and be strong in both Nueces and Cameron is going to be the nominee. Does the people? Ay, Gamboa. Come on, man. Imagine what we would be under Kamala. Really? Like, look, I'm all for being about party, but te pasas de lanza. Like, come on, man. Like, you can't see the change. You can't see the respect that this country has had now with the new administration. We were the laughing stock. Am I better off today than last year? Hell yeah. And if you can realize that, you're a Democrat, you're a liberal. Does Keith Allen have name recognition? Does he have the capital? Does he have the money? Does he have the fundraising ability to come through? Not sure. Luis Buentello. Luis Buentello was an interesting Gamboa. Really? You want to talk about respect? Did they respect President Biden? Wasn't he getting lost at the summits? Wasn't he walking around? Really? What about the auto pen? What about all those pardons he gave Cheney and Fauci? And really, you want to go down that route? Luis Benteo is an interesting character because Luis Benteo grew up in the Valley, in Brownsville, if I'm not mistaken. He ended up he worked for Salomon Ortiz, or he's worked for representatives in Congress. He prided himself in saying, "I'm the only one that has worked for a representative for 10, 12 years." His platform is on leadership, courage to shape the destiny of our nation. Based on his experience of working 12 years of working in Congress, he knows how Washington works for you. And he said, look, I'm very proud to say that I have helped hundreds of my constituents, of people that either had issues in regards to veteran affairs, that had, he gave a story of how during the holidays, a family needed something pressing. I forget the issue. And that's one of his proudest moments, that he was able to come through for that family when they really needed it. Okay, Gamboa, keep on telling yourself that. Now, does Luis Benteo have name ID? Do people know him in Corpus? Yes. I think now he currently lives out of Corpus. Again, he did represent the area for many, many years. Does he have the money? Whenever I think of these races, ladies and gentlemen, I think of millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. You need to be able to make sure that your constituents recognize your name, know what you're about, believe in your platform, and ultimately believe in you. Luis Benteo, if I'm not mistaken, was the last candidate to throw his name into the ring. Or no, that was Jay Nagy. I apologize. One of the last ones to throw his name in the ring. Will he be competitive? Again, this is a crowded field. Would he be competitive? Would he be able to make the runoff? Is there someone in this race that will be able to win it without a runoff? What do you think? Does it benefit us for having somebody that knows the ins and outs as an employee of a congressman, of a representative? Is that what is going to help us in the future, in the 10 years, 20 years that we talked about? Is he going to be able to provide jobs? Is he going to be able to strengthen our local economy? Is he going to be able to bring down the funds, the grants needed for our area? Eric Flores. Eric Flores has been a polarizing figure. Eric Flores spoke about his background of him being in the military, him serving his country, being an attorney, being a litigator, on being a municipal judge, and as a federal prosecutor. One of the biggest questions that people will have about Eric Flores is he really a Republican? And I know you may laugh and say, ha, 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 why are you saying that? Because Republicans, they're hardcore. They're like, you better be red. You better bleed red. You are R. Here locally, I laugh because I learned in these past 6 months that I've been before you on the tube that here locally in Cameron County, they call Democrats that jump over transplant candidates. They say, oh, he's a transplant candidate. He's a transplant candidate. That is why I don't understand how the Cameron County Republican Party, how they openly endorsed, spent money on Democrats in the city of Brownsville municipal races. boggles my mind. How can you say that I'm not a Republican? How can you say that that people are not Republicans, but then you are spending money on Pedrito Cardenas and Nurit Kalonsky that have never voted red in the past 10 years, maybe in their whole lives? But here we have Eric Flores, who is the son of a former representative who was convicted of 6 counts of bribery charges, of corruption, who was a Democrat. Many people are questioning, is Eric Flores a rhino? He posted it on social media how proud he was to be at President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris's inauguration. He worked under the Biden DOJ as a federal prosecutor. The same institution, the same entity, the same institution that was going after Trump hard. The Democrats, they want to say, he's convicted, he's a felon, he's got 34 counts. Did you know that they created a law that allowed them to bring up these charges? And then once it was done, they got away with it? There was so manipulation, so much weaponizing of the Department of Justice at the national level and in the state of New York that ultimately allowed that to happen. Eric Flores was a part of that administration. He has a commercial, if you haven't seen it, I think it's funny, where he has a picture of President Trump walking in and his head sticking out. I think it's Photoshop. I don't think he was in Edinburgh when President Trump came down a few years ago. Maybe he was. I don't know. But he's trying to align himself with President Trump. I'm with President Trump. I'm with President Trump. Are the Republican voters in District 34, are they that gullible? Now, again, on paper, Eric Flores seems legit. He has all the qualities you would want in somebody. Yesterday at the town, I want to say the forum, he was walking back and forth. He was making me antsy. I was like, chingao, párate, güey. ¿Te puedo tomar una foto? Never in his presentation, never did he say what he was going to do. He focused on his background, and we commend him for it. You know, he served in the military. But no solutions. He never addressed these issues that many people have. Look, if I'm hearing these things, I know people in Nueces County are. Is he a Republican? Is he just jumping on the Republican train because, well, now it's convenient? Why wasn't he doing it back in 2020? Why wasn't he doing it back in 2016? Why is he doing it now? Again, it's a crowded race. A decade ago, we would be lucky if we had 1-2 candidates, if anything. Now we have 9. What are we starting to see? The pendulum starting to swing. People are starting to realize that the Democrats have not come through, that they have taken advantage of the minority vote. They have kept us poor. They have kept us dumb. They have kept us on welfare. And people are starting to open up their eyes and say, okay, we need to do something different. That is why President Trump won Cameron County this past November. So does Eric Flores have what it takes to come out on top of the GOP group? Will he make it to a runoff? He's spending thousands of dollars on ad campaigns. My biggest issue with Eric is he is misrepresenting the facts. In his press release, he stated that he outraised the group. He raised the most amount of money. He loaned himself. What he failed to share to the constituents of District 34 is that he loaned himself $250,000. Now, in my opinion, again, I am no political guru. I'm not, as a common person, to me, Whenever you loan yourself money, that's not raising money. Maybe it is to you. But to me, no. I want to know how much money people gave you. Not how much you loaned yourself, not how much you put in that piggy bank. Because it's a big difference. Because what? He wanted to flex and say, oh, look at this. I raised $500,000, $460 million. 63% of it came from Maida Flores' is people. Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Not so much. So out of the 460, he only raised 200, which again, that's a lot of money. That's hey, that's good. But in this race, you need to spend I would dare say anywhere from $1 to $3 million in this race. Name recognition. Do people know who Eric Flores is in the district? Do people genuinely believe that he's a diehard Republican? It doesn't help that his father is a corrupted, convicted Democrat representative. So there's a lot of holes in his campaign that he has yet to answer. And look, ladies and gentlemen, we are what? We're already in December. Holidays are already here. People don't want to listen in on campaigning. They want to focus on holidays, on eating, on hanging out, meeting with the family. And then Christmas comes, and then 2 weeks, and then the kids are off, and all we're thinking about is Christmas and New Year's. From here till January the 1st, nobody cares about politics. It's only us nerds, you people that tune in with me, that care. But to the average Joe, they don't give a what. They start listening after Los Reyes Magos, the first, second, third week of January. But by then, it's too late. Eric Flores lied in his press release when he said that he outraised the group, that he is what's needed to challenge Vicente or the Democratic nominee. He wants you to think that he's able to raise so much money when he left out something very important. That he gave himself $250,000. He wants you to think that he's strong. Essentially, he's not strong. Now, will he be able to raise that amount of money in this quarter? Because again, the holidays, to get people to donate to you in the holidays, está cabrón, because people don't want to spend money on candidates. They'd rather spend it on their families. So I think Eric's big hurrah is over. Because again, come January, it's too late. We're less than 100 days away. Less than 100 days away. Do I think that Eric is going to come out of this group in a runoff? No. I think he'll be lucky if he comes in 4th or 5th. And that's me being generous. I would hope that Eric Flores would take this opportunity to create a poll. Have his team. He's got hundreds of thousands of dollars. He's spending thousands of dollars on ad campaigns. Do a poll, Eric. Let's see where you are in the field. You know why these candidates don't release a poll? Because it's not in their best interest. They don't want you to see that they are in single digits, that they don't have the name recognition, that they don't have that people know their platform, that people know who they are. I would hope that Eric Flores jumps to another race. Not because I see him competitive, but because he could do a great service for the party in another race. He's not going to be in the runoff. Again, I have him 4th or 5th in this race. The one to speak after Eric Flores was Maida Flores. And Maida Flores did win a special election when with election before. She has campaigned with President Trump. She does have an America First approach. She is running to protect the Second Amendment and is a believer in pro-life. Mayra Flores is a very, very interesting candidate to me because she laid the groundwork for all these candidates to have the opportunity to run in this race. And I know you're probably thinking, oh, well, you just want to, you're just buttering up. You just, you're blowing smoke. And because really, if it wasn't for Mayra Flores in 2016, in 2020, maybe we wouldn't have Republicans interested, willing. She did the hard work. She laid the groundwork. When nobody thought of running as a Republican, she did, and she won. I'm a big believer in hard work, and I think the people of Nueces and Cameron County believe in that virtue, believe in hard work. Mayra Flores has shown you that she has won an election. Now, people are saying, oh, well, we need somebody that could beat Vicente because Mayra has lost twice. Again, it's all a game, ladies and gentlemen. Currently, right now, the way this map, District 34 map is drawn, it is a plus 10, plus 11 Republican. Now, there is points margin of error, right? Anywhere from 3, 5, possibly 7. Meaning, yes, we say it's 11, but maybe it's all the way down to, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7%. But you do it in a way to where you have wiggle room. And many insiders believe whoever comes out of this race, out of the GOP, is going to be the next congresswoman, is going to be the next representative for many years to come. Mayra Flores, after she won her special election, they redrew the maps. And she lost, I don't know, 8 points, 7 points. This past time, when it favored the GOP, and I think Vicente Gonzalez did a poll that he was up by 15%. And his people were like, oh, man, we got in the bag. We got in the bag. Mayra lost by 2 points. Mayra lost by 5,000 votes. Now, maybe to you, 5,000 voters seems like a lot. When we talk about city races, when we talk about school district races, county races, 5,000 votes is, woof, it's a blowout. Not in congressional races. Congressional races, that's a small town. That's a Kleberg. That's a Kingsville. That's a 5,000 votes is very manageable. What I find it hard to believe is that she gives the Republican Party the best opportunity to win in November against someone like Vicente Gonzalez based on the way the maps are drawn. Gamboa? Because yes, she lost by 2% in a map that is drawn for the Democratic Party. As I said earlier. What did I say earlier? If something isn't broken, why change it? Why fix it? Now, it's interesting. It's interesting to learn about this dynamics because people are saying, oh, she is running on the platform of America First. She campaigned with President Trump. And yesterday we had a candidate that said, well, yeah, but she didn't win. She did lose her She did lose this past November. But to me, I lie. It's not 2 points. It's probably 3, maybe 4. But again, it's 5,000 votes. To me, that is a big difference. That is something that the party should really consider, because we should focus on individuals that have experience, that have all the connections moving forward. She still has ties to DC. It will be a smooth transition for her. While she was only in office for 6 months, right now, she seems to be in the lead. Now, she is the only candidate that in her rollout, and look, I was very impressed with her rollout. Her rollout is whenever she made her announcement, hey, I'm running for District 34 with the new maps. I had never seen that before. I don't want to say I'm a political guru or consultant. I have followed campaigns, but the way she came out and said, look at all these people endorsing me at all these levels. And not only that, I don't only have the support of people in the know, people in Washington, but look at this poll that I have. She released a poll that she was up 30 points. Now, again, the margin of error, what is it? I don't know. 7 points? Let's say 15 points. Let's say if you want to be, the margin of error is anywhere from, I would dare say 7 to 10%. But there are people that say, oh, no, those polls, I would give it 15%. She's still up 15 points. To me, that's huge. She is the only candidate that has released a poll. Now, people are saying, oh, well, because it's convenient for her. Have we seen other candidates release a poll? Why not? You would think that they would want to show how strong they are, right? At least I would. It would be in their best interest to show and say, hey, look, if I was Eric Flores, I would release a poll, because in Maida's poll, he polled at 5%. Wouldn't it be best for Eric Flores' camp to have a poll that shows, a scientific poll that shows that he was at 5 in Maida, but now he's at 20%, and he's narrowing the gap, and he needs your support, and I need your contribution, because come February, March in the primary, we will narrow that gap, and we will be fighting, and every vote counts, and we are going to be competitive with the likes of Maida Flores. But we haven't seen that yet. Why not? Maybe because he is still polling in the single digits, and maybe it's not in his best interest or any of the candidates' best interest to make us think about it. I was very shocked when she did her rollout. I was like, wow, impressive. Because she came out flexing. Have we seen another poll out in the field? Maybe now they will. But what is that poll going to reveal? I always found that interesting. Maida Flores made her point and saying, I'm the only candidate that has served, that has won a congressional race. You may want to attack me on this, on that. Attack me on my voting record. That is what she's running on an America First platform, campaigning with President Trump. I'm sorry. Grill me on my voting record. That is what she asked of her constituents. And by them criticizing, putting her voting record under the microscope, you will find out that she is a conservative. I honestly feel as if Maida has the best chance to win this race without a runoff. And I know I'm saying that, and those are big words and strong words. Don, do me a favor. Define raised. Define raise. To you, what is raise? Does raise mean that they loan themselves, or to you, raise means like other people's money? Let me know, and I'll answer your question. I promise you. Just I want to know your what are your thoughts on that? Mayra Flores has proven that she has won a runoff, a primary without a runoff. Everyone knows who Mayra Flores is. She is a rock star. She has name recognition. She has come out in all the major news agencies, Fox News, Newsweek. She has campaigned on the campaign trail with President Trump. She has been endorsed by President Trump. Elon Musk voted for her. Will he be voting for her again? Possibly. It's not far-fetched. I honestly feel as if Mayra Flores gives us the best shot to beat Vicente or whoever the Democratic nominee is in November. Freddy Hinojosa. Freddy Hinojosa is the older brother to Senator Adam Hinojosa. He stated that he is a state delegate out of Nueces County since 2010. Currently, right now, Freddy Hinojosa is a political consultant who his platform is based on running for this congressional seat to put money back into your pockets. Does Freddy Hinojosa have the connections needed to be competitive in this race? Yes, he does. Why? Because he's out of Nueces County. Now, he was born in Brownsville. He has family in Brownsville. But now him and his brother have made Nueces, Corpus their home. He also talked about him coming out of the police academy and having that background. Right now, he is a business owner, if I'm not mistaken. He's got a jewelry store and a restaurant here in Harlingen, Texas, if I'm not mistaken. There are questions in regards to unpaid taxes. I'm not going to go there. Maybe down the road we will. His brother just recently had a fundraiser for him. Now, everywhere he goes, he always brings up his name, Adam Hinojosa, Adam Hinojosa, Adam Hinojosa. And, rightfully so, right? We want people to know the Hinojosa name. He has all the connections because of his brother. Will that be able to get him over the hump? Will he be able to raise? Because he didn't submit a campaign finance report this past. Oh, yes, he did. He raised $200. I could be mistaken. It was in the low couple hundreds. Somebody said, why did he even file? He should have just waited until the last quarter of the year. Freddy Hinojosa is pretty much running on. My brother is Adam Hinojosa, the senator. Does it benefit us here in Cameron County to have two representatives out of Nueces County? Hey, Gamboa, I'll challenge you. I say Mayra will win. You say Mayra will lose. Loser pays Chick-fil-A. How about that? Will Adam Hinojosa be able to get his brother the nomination? Will he be able to help his brother raise thousands of dollars? Does it benefit us in Cameron County to have two brothers out of Nueces County who, hypothetically speaking, their focus will probably be just Nueces County? Maybe, Fred will focus down here and the senator will be up in Nueces. Does it benefit us down here to have a brother combo as a senator, as a congressman, focusing on Nueces County? People have Adam Hinojosa down here in Brownsville, the city in Cameron County. be the same, going to focus on Nueces team? Perhaps. Kunkel. Greek did, and again, I would that's I really didn't find anything bad to say about them. Gregory Kunkel is running on the slogan of making South Texas great again. He focused on talking about that we need a candidate that knows the issues. He talked about the city of Harlingen, and Gregory Kunkel is out of Laguna Vista. Somebody did ask him in the crowd, do you reside within the district? Do you live here? And he said, yes, ma'am. I go to Laguna Vista. And I have seen, or my team has seen him at church at Laguna Vista on Sundays. He said that it's important for the constituents to elect a candidate that knows the issues. He talked about the flooding in Harlingen, about the need for water conservation or the need for water in Corpus. He plans to bring more nuclear energy. His focus, his solution is to create more jobs, to focus on trade schooling, on the economy. He wants to make sure that every young adult is able to graduate with a certain trade to help them be competitive in the market, for them to have some experience in some tech job, some trade that will be able to help them get into these positions where they're able to make a decent salary coming out of high school into the job market. Will Gregory Kunkel come out of this group? Would he be challenging someone such as Mayra Flores in a runoff? How has he polled previously? Would he be able to take down, to dethrone someone such as Vicente Gonzalez? Has he raised the money? I don't believe he filed a campaign finance report. I could be wrong. Scott Mandel. Scott Mandel assured everyone that he is a Hispanic. He said, don't be alarmed. My mom is from Guerrero. I am a Mexican. I have Mexican blood in me. What was interesting about Scott Mandel is what he said that really caught my attention. Scott Mandel, before he started, he asked his campaign manager or someone a part of his team, and he said, hey, what is the projections right now as of today? Because again, the way the maps were drawn, it is a plus 10, 11 favoring the Republicans. A part of his team said yesterday that they claimed that District 34 as of yesterday is a toss-up. And the party needed the right person to challenge the Democratic nominee. Now, it got me thinking, do they honestly believe that? Is that a strategic strategy, a campaign strategy in order to fight to the finish? We have to get the right person. No letting up. Yes, the map is drawn in our favor, but we can't let that we can't let down our guard. We got to keep fighting. We got to keep pushing until election day on March the 3rd. I found that very weird, because again, do we really think that that a Republican is going to blow it out of the water? Well, based on the map, yeah. there were other people that I've talked to that said, well, with Vicente Gonzalez, it could be a toss-up. Scott Mandel did state that Vicente Gonzalez has $1 million in his coffers. Vicente Gonzalez has yet to announce for re-election. He has stated when he, responded to our post about him running as a Republican. He said, oh, that's the biggest bull crap I've ever heard. I'm running as a Democrat and I'm going to win for the third time. Now, is it normal for a incumbent to wait to the very last minute? The deadline, I believe, is December the 8th. Is it out of the norm for an incumbent who is strong, who has won multiple elections, who has $1 million in his coffers? Is it wrong for him, or is it weird for someone like him not to announce already? We saw how the Cameron County, even Nueces County Democratic Party, they already started, signing people up. The campaign fighting extravaganza for the 2026 primary. Again, the deadline to announce, to officially jump in the ring is December the 8th. Scott Mandel, going back to who has raised more money, Don. Scott Mandel, based on his campaign finance report, he didn't loan himself $1 million. It seems as if he gave himself $1 million. And there's a difference, because whenever a candidate loans himself, quote unquote, loans themselves an X amount of money, well, they can pay themselves back. Either if they're victorious, if people contribute to their campaign, they could, hey, I loaned myself that money to run this campaign. Now that money is mine. Based on my understanding, and when we talked about the candidates and their campaign finance reports, Scott Mandel just gave himself $1 million. So going back to Don, who raised more money? Well, if you want to be like Eric and say that he outraised the group because he loaned himself $250,000, well, then if we're using that same measuring stick, we have to say that Scott Mandel, who loaned himself or who gave himself $1 million, outraised everybody. But if we were to say, no, raising money is not loaning yourself money, not giving your money to your campaign, what you raise from other people. Mayra Flores outraised everyone. And we can go back and look at the campaign finance reports. And we did a story on that. And we can go back to it if everybody has any questions. Or if you want to message me, I can send you the link. We broke down everybody's campaign finance report. So Scott Mandel gave himself $1 million. His experience, Don says, what real experience do these candidates have? Well, his experience includes working for Nueces County Sheriff's Department in the Missing Childs Division. He has a business of security that he provided individuals during Katrina. He has run 5 immigration facilities and understands immigration. There are people in the know that are saying that Scott Mandel does have a chance. Scott Mandel has the opportunity, because of the money that he gave himself, to be competitive. Would he be able to, I don't know, force a runoff with someone such as Mayra Flores? Maybe. I believe he mentioned that he has ties to the Rio Grande Valley. Currently, right now, he lives and operates out of Nueces County. But to have $1 million in your coffers ready to go to spend, it says a lot. We broke it down, Gumbo. Again, there's a video. I can post it. I can You're a frequent visitor. Go back to the video that we talked about the campaign finance reports of every candidate. We broke down how much they raised, who got their money, where they got it from, where they spent. It's no secret. Scott Mandel is someone that should be considered a threat because he has the big bucks. He's not playing around. Now, the biggest question for someone like Mandel is his voting record. When we look at Charles Scott Mandel out of Corpus Christi, look at his voting record, his voter history. And again, another thing that I learned, Republicans, if you didn't vote in the primary, like they want you to be a hardcore Republican, and rightfully so. You know what I mean? Rightfully so. You want your constituents, you want members of your party to be vigorous and to be proudful and to participate and hold every election as being of the utmost importance. And they're hardcore. Oh, you didn't vote in this race. Oh, you're a weak Republican. Oh, you didn't vote in. Oh, no, you have to vote in every primary. Look at Scott Mandel. These are questions that he has to answer to the voters. Again, the Nueces County voter history record, he just voted Republican recently. Back in 2020 and 2000, he didn't vote. And when he did vote, he voted Democrat. Are the voters aware of Scott Mandel's voting record? Will that affect him? Because again, Republicans are hardcore. Here in Cameron County, we talk about transplant candidates. Will he be held to that same measuring stick? I don't know. Again, people in the know are saying that he is the most competitive. He is number 2. Who would have thunk, right? Who would have thunk? The last candidate to speak was Jay Nagy. Jay Nagy was someone that brought a lot of entertainment to the room. He gravitated to people. People were able to make that connection with him. Jay Nagy has a degree in mechanical engineering, who previously worked for SpaceX, and he currently resides in Brownsville. He claimed that he helped build the largest employer in South Texas, and he has contacts that he can convince big corporations into our district. He's convinced, and something that I found very interesting from Jay Nagy, he said that the Republican Party is headed for a loss in November. The reasons why was because of their outreach focus, their outreach efforts. He says there is no young blood. He's like, look, I'm the youngest candidate in the room. You're not my target audience. Everyone at yesterday's event was, I would dare say, 30 and older, 40 and older. It was an older generation that was there. But Nagy, he made a very interesting point. He said that his mission was to convince young voters who work in the tech, oil, and gas industry. And he said, look, you people may not take me seriously, but the people that are supporting me do take seriously. And he kind of caused like he scared me. I was like, oh, la madre. Was he referring to Elon Musk? Was he referring to other billionaire tech? Was he referring to oil and gas barons, entrepreneurs, heavyweights? Because the way he said it was, I know you don't take me serious. You may think that I'm young, but the people that are supporting me, they got the big bucks and they're watching you. and they're listening to what you say. And at this rate that you're going, the Republican Party is going to lose. And he was able, at least to me, he was able to convince me that Jay Nagy is someone that the party needs. Now, does he have the name recognition? Do people know him out of Cameron County? Will he be able to get his name throughout the district? I was convinced after Jay Nagy spoke that he would be a great asset to whoever came out of the primary of the GOP for Congress. He is smart. He is something that the party should welcome, should encourage, and motivate. Maybe not for this position. I believe he ran previously for mayor, if I'm not mistaken, for mayor for the city of Brownsville. His future is very bright. It's very promising. And I'm not just saying it because I could relate to him because, we're of the younger generation, because of his brain, because of who he is, because of the connections that he has established. I wholeheartedly feel, and he said, look, I may not win, but I will gladly work with the nominee to make sure that we focus on water conservation, that in 100 years, this issue is going to be pressing. And if we don't have someone right now doing it, it's only going to get worse. I was very moved by his speech. I really was. And people were laughing at him, and they weren't laughing at him. They were laughing with him because while he was speaking, he was the last speaker because they went by alphabetical order. The library closed at 11. They're very punctual. Well, the lady that was kicking us out over the intercom went on a spiel for like 2-3 minutes in English and Spanish, and everyone's like, "Come on, finish already!" And Jay Nagy was like, he would talk, and then the intercom would talk, and he moved the room, not because of that, but because of what he had to say. And I saw him after, and I shook his hand, and I said, "Look, my name's Frankie Olivo. Nice to meet you. Maybe we can sit down sometime. I'd like to pick your brain." He said, "Yeah, sure. I'd appreciate that." Jay Nagy is somebody that the party should embrace. Jay Nagy is a person that can provide a promising future for the Republican Party. It may not be in this race, but I'm confident 4, 8, 12 years down the road, he will be a serious competitor for many, many years to come. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday's forum was inspirational to me. It fascinates me that we have people that are willing to fight, are willing to be vocal, are willing to talk about what's important to you and I. It's not easy running for public office. It's difficult. And politics takes your soul if you let it. Many people are wondering who will come out on top of this GOP primary. Is there a chance that anyone such as Mayra Flores, and why am I using Mayra? You may say, oh, because you're biased. Oh, because, you like her. Oh, because, well, I believe wholeheartedly in, again, if something isn't broken, why fix it? If it's working, let's do it. Mayra Flores would have been our congresswoman if the maps weren't changed when she won that special election. This would be her 3rd, 4th term that she'd be running for. Mayra Flores has done the groundwork since 2016 and 2020. People in Cameron and Nueces value hard work. She did that. She knows what it's like to win an election. She knows what it's like to be working in Congress. She will fight for our values. The question is, will she be able to win without a runoff? Is Scott Mandel and his money of $1 million that he gave himself, would he be able to force a runoff? Those are the two people that I'm hearing to watch out for. Again, Mayra Flores has shown before that she has won a primary without a runoff. Maybe the closer we get towards the primaries, maybe we will have candidates release a poll. Is it far-fetched that a candidate will bow out because they're not getting the traction, the reception that they thought they had? Maybe. Remember, the deadline to make any changes final is December the 8th. It's going to be interesting from now to December the 8th to see if there's any more candidates jumping in. And the big question would be, is Vicente going to run? There are some people that are saying he is. There's some people that are saying that he's not. And if he doesn't, let's say hypothetically that he doesn't, that he focuses on lobbying, he focuses on something else. Do you see the predicament in which the Democratic Party of District 34 finds himself in? Now, there is a Rosas who is running on socialistic values, socialism. Gamboa, Jose Mario. Where are you? Jose Mario. There's a candidate for you. I think his name is Rosas. He's running against Vicente Gonzalez out of the Democratic primary, who is promising pretty, I don't want to say everything that, what's that guy from the mayor from New York? Maldawami. So the Democrats do have somebody, but again, does he have name recognition? Is he going to be able to have the millions of dollars? Maybe now with Vicente not in, would he be able to raise that amount of money? Would he be able to make this race that heavily favors the Republican Party competitive? I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, who we elect today will have a lasting effect on our lives. Electing someone that shares our values, our principles, our goals is very important, because what we do today will ultimately affect us down the road. Electing the right candidate is essential and vital for us here in South Texas to be able to promote progress, to be able to provide jobs, to be able to fix our healthcare, to focus on our immigration policies that have failed for years and years and years. This could be the beginning of something very important that we may look back on and say, this was the moment that everything changed. And it was because we elected this congressional candidate. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel titled Frankie Olivo TV. Best believe Good Morning Brownsville will come on Monday through Friday at 9 a.m., sometimes a little bit after, religiously. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. My name is Frankie Olivo, and this is Good Morning Brownsville. Peace! Mm-hmm.